offense. When you look at the abilities, kind of the variability in age, youths, and veterans in there, what is most intriguing about this running back group that you're working with this year?
I think just the combination of talents that we have there presents us with and there's going to be a theme about a lot of the positions, and really what I would say is true of our offense right now at most positions. We may not necessarily have that guy, and we know who that guy is because he's coming back from X numbers of years of experience or carries or catches in some cases. But the collective strength of the group, I think, is really strong. And their willingness to work together and cheer for each other is something that I've been really impressed with. And the challenge with that is, okay, we got a number of guys that we think can play, and so how do you give ample reps to each guy and still feel like we're able to see what we need from each guy, and we've given each individual an opportunity to prove what he's worthy of in this season or even game one. And so that's a real challenge, but it's a good challenge. I've been in some cases where we didn't have anybody that I liked, and so we've got several backs that I like, and that's a really good thing.
Does that make leadership more of a challenge in a room where there's not that one guy that sets the example and the tone for everyone else?
I think it can, yeah. But I also think it goes back to the fact that if a guy's a leader, then he'll truly step up, even if that's the case, or maybe even especially when that's the case.
Have they been off-site football camp in your previous stops in D.C.? Where do you see maybe the value of doing something like that?
In doing what? I'm sorry?
Going away football camp.
I've done it once. When I was at Arizona State, we went up in the mountains there. It was by necessity because the temperature was just ridiculous. And the benefit, I think, will be just an opportunity, on a pragmatic side to do nothing but football for 2 weeks and be uninterrupted. I think in a different way, and probably even a stronger sense, is what you hope to build in terms of culture and togetherness and unity and a willingness to really see all of your teammates, not just the guys who are your best friends, as part of your family.
Davis Heinzen came in after spring. That's a tough spot to walk in.
Who? Sorry.
Davis Heinzen.
Oh, yeah.
That's a tough spot to walk in after spring and not have that time. Just how have you seen him kind of attack that challenge of learning this offense and getting ready for camp?
Yeah, not an ideal situation, obviously, but I'm grateful that the portal exists for that, But he's done a great job learning the offense, and I would say he's a really smart kid and a quick study. There are a number of things that we're asking him to do that are different than he's done before, and that's where the learning curve has really got to speed up when we get to camp.
As far as Lance Mason goes, what do you like about his skill set, and is it maybe a little different than, does he bring something that maybe you didn't have in that room?
Yeah. So Lance, again, another guy that's really smart, really, really impressed with how fast he's learned everything that we're asking a tight end to learn. And the tight end position in this offense is not an easy one to learn. We're asking him to be just as involved in the run game as offensive linemen, and in a lot of ways just as involved in the pass protection game, especially when it comes to our play action protections, and then to do everything that receivers do. And so there's a lot to learn, and he has done a phenomenal job of learning it. I see the standout from him that I've seen thus far is the same thing that I saw when we made the decision to bring him here, and that is he's a natural route runner, understands space, leverage, has the ability to get in and out of breaks, and so I think that's his strong suit. Now, how well he blocks, particularly in this league, will also be a determining factor in terms of how much he actually plays instead of somebody else. So another position, just like running back, where there's a lot of competition.
Really transferring from within the conference, he's familiar with a lot of the opponents are familiar with him. What kind of dynamic is that? Is that an advantage to have somebody who's been in the Big Ten, used to Big Ten?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's certainly an advantage for Billy, understanding what it's like to play and maybe not even the defenses that we're playing. I mean, he may have had one game against a certain team that's on our schedule, but they may have a new defensive coordinator this year. But I think the real advantage for him is just understanding the level of defense and the level of competitiveness that there is in this league, and how much other teams know about him and whether that's an advantage for them. I don't know. They probably, have some knowledge of him, but I think he's a different player now than he was last year, just like you would hope any player to be a year removed from his first year as a full-time starter, and a different style of offense.
Jeff, how does your offense look now? What are you hoping it looks like by the end of training camp?
What does it look like in what regard?
Just, things that you're picking up early, things that you're excited for, goals that you're going after.
I would say the biggest thing I'm excited about is just to see our guys play. We've spent a lot of time really trying to teach them the offense, and they've really been eager and willing to do a lot of the things that we've asked them to do. And now the next step is going to be, can they go out after having had, there's this period of time where you have to learn something new, where you're a beginner. You're not even a novice. You're just a beginner. You don't know how to do any of these things. They're just drawings on a piece of paper. And then you move from that stage to the next stage, which is, okay, I know what these things are, but I don't know exactly how to do them. And then the next step, and I would say that's where most of our team is now, the next step is, can I actually do these things well? And then can I do them better than the people who are trying to keep us from doing these things? And I'm really excited to see our guys take that next step. They've been really unbelievably willing to work and learn. Now I want to see them compete. Now I want to see how tough we really are. And to some extent, we'll find out a little bit more of that in fall camp, but we won't really know that until we get into the season and we play other teams.
I'd imagine you're pretty excited to get Tretch on the field. Based on what you know about him, how do you think he impacts this offense?
Yeah, so Tretch was probably really my first recruit when I got here, because when I was talking to Coach Vick about the job before I'd officially even taken it, I saw his name and that he was getting in the portal. Didn't know who he was at the time. And then I get here, and then he's in the portal, and I talked with KG about him. I watched some film, and I said, am I missing something here? Because I think we really want this guy on our team. And just talking with Vic and KG about it, we decided, yeah, we really want him on the team. And I brought him in and sat him down and talked with him for a while about his skill set and things that I've been able to do with players like him in the past. And, I think him just recognizing that I understood who he was, saw him as a player and as a person, said, yeah, I want to be a part of that. And certainly not being able to actually have him on the field as much as I'd like has been a frustration, but man, he's really worked hard to get himself back where he's ready to go, and I think he is ready to go, and I think he brings multi-dimensional playmaking ability. He's a guy that you feel like could probably always get open and has the ability to really do some cool things when he has the ball in his hand. So not just as a receiver, but getting him the ball on jet sweeps and reverses and some cool stuff like that, I think will be a lot of fun.
Folks, we've got a little more time with Grimes, but I want to open up Christian Allegro, Cade Iacomelli, and Aaron Witt to keep them on time for their lift. So if you want to peel off and start getting them, feel free.
Probably don't want to talk to the defensive guys, but Cade's over there. He's a cool guy. You might want to talk to him. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Same with the wide receivers. What kind of impact do you think Jaden could make this year? Sorry if they asked. I couldn't hear who they were asking about. And then do you think Eugene could see some minutes some time as a freshman?
Yeah, good questions. Jaden has the ability to be that deep threat that you feel like a defense has to respect at all times down the field. Number one, because he's just got the skill set for it. He's big, tall, and has great speed, and those guys are able to do something different to a defense that other guys don't. And if you have that guy, and I've been on some offenses where we had one of those guys, and some others where we had 1.5 or maybe even 2. I've been on some offenses where we didn't have anybody that could really do that and threaten the defense deep, and it changes how they play. If you got one guy that can just lift the top off the defense, then they always have to respect that there's a deep threat. So they either got to double cover him or they got to put somebody back in the middle of the field that can help with that deep post route. And so my hope is that he does that and he can become that kind of consistent player for us. He has shown at times that he can do that, but like a lot of our players, still has room for growth. Eugene, yes, I do think he could get some playing time this year. Just looking at his improvement from the time he first got here to where he is now, really made a lot of strides. And I think he's got a complete skill set as a receiver, but his real gift right now is that he kind of does some receiver things naturally, things that some other guys may be 2 or 3 or 4 years into their career and you're still trying to teach them how to run this route or how to make that cut or how to adjust to this ball. He just does them pretty naturally.
The right guard position, did somebody emerge for you in spring, or do you kind of feel like that's still a 3-man race there?
Still a competition. Yeah.
With that spot being so relationship oriented, you need to know how the guy next to you plays. Like, do you have a date in mind when you want to have that decided, or do you have to let it play out?
The sooner the better,
Sure.
But I've been willing to allow a position battle to continue all the way up to the first game in the past. And then, what happens sometimes is even once you get past that first game, you still make a change because one guy's not doing it as well as you hoped he would, and another guy keeps practicing better. And I've also been in situations where we had a couple of guys who were pretty good, and so we had guys who shared time at that spot. So I think all of those things are possibilities right now.